more about that. Delighted to welcome Maria Taffe from McNally's Chemist, the late night chemist, the all-the-time chemist on Monaghan Street in Newry. So we're going to take medicine to get us off alcohol, are we?
Well, Rowan, that is actually not the primary way to avoid alcohol misuse. We would always recommend psychological interventions first. So you'd be talking groups, counselling. It's really about how your own mind works and you realising how to have a healthy relationship with alcohol as such, or how to have, well, I suppose there is no normal, but a normal relationship in terms of the medical sense with alcohol. The reason I wanted to speak to you about alcohol misuse is simply because it's been in the news quite a lot over the last week or two, I suppose you could say.
Indeed.
So NICE have now recommended or endorsed a relatively new medication. It's called nafalmine or nafalmine, however you want to pronounce it. The brand name being Selencro, since that is the only company that produce it, well, here in the UK that I'm aware of anyway. It's relatively new insofar as it only achieved a marketing authorization or a license in February of 2013.
Is it recommended by NICE?
Yes, they have produced a press release that have said we recommend the use of this.
What's the principle of it? How does it work?
It actually works on opioid receptors, as far as I'm aware, which then decreases your need or dependence on alcohol. It's used on a when required basis. So if a person, my understanding is if a person feels there's going to be a party or there's going to be some sort of incidents they're going to be put into where they feel they may not be able to stop drinking, they could then take one of these tablets and then that would decrease their need for the alcohol. It can only be used in certain specific circumstances. It would be people that are drinking high volumes of alcohol or high amounts of alcohol that are at high risk, and they then may use this tablet.
So it's not for the ordinary man in the street who goes out maybe and has a few pints at the weekend or whatever.
Well, it's quite specific for what it's advised for. It's very important that it is only licensed whenever psychological intervention is also being used along with it. It also can't just be as such handed out. It has to be an assessment period of a minimum of 2 weeks by a prescriber before they would be able to.
So would the person come to you?
Well, a lot of people actually do come to us in the pharmacy for advice if they're concerned about either their own drinking habits or a close friend or relative's drinking habits. They may come in, have a little chat about what is expected to be a safe amount of alcohol. Whenever you start talking about units, for a gentleman it's 21 units per week, and for a lady it's 14 units per week or less is deemed to be safe. And
it shouldn't be going out and taking the 20 odd units a week at one go. It should be stretched over the week.
Yes, it should be stretched over and divided into portions. It might be quite surprising for you to know that one large glass of wine typically has 3 units.
3 units,
Yes, so somebody drinking a glass of wine every night of the week,
you're up at 21.
That's more than the ladies' recommended allowance in the week. So some people might find that quite surprising. And then obviously, as you said, binge drinking. So I'm sure some people would consume more than that amount in just one night of the week.
Of course. Maria, when one drinks too much alcohol, when one takes the stuff, what does it do to the body?
Oh, well.
Harmful. What are the harmful effects on the body?
Well, the effects in so far as, Rowan, your misuse or dependence, we define that as a compelling need for alcohol, even when there are, harmful repercussions, be those repercussions psychological or physical. So from a psychological side, depression and anxiety can develop quite quickly. And these are very common in people that have alcohol misuse issues. From the physical side of things, an acute thing like acute pancreatitis can develop. But quite often the damage is not seen for many years.
Ah, yeah.
And then at that stage can be irreversible. So you'd be talking cirrhosis of your liver. Your liver can't cope with processing all the alcohol and then ends up, it's damaged and dying. Cancer of the mouth is quite a common effect for people that have misused alcohol.
Yes.
Mental issues, as we discussed, but there's lists and lists of problems that can develop.
So
with
in the whole business, if we put the new medication to the one side, that it's for a specific group of people.
Well, the new medication, Rowan, is to try and prevent these long-term effects. So in my understanding, the thinking of it is, if you're not overusing alcohol today, in 10 years' time, that might prevent then. It might lower your exposure to alcohol in your mouth, and then may help lower the cancers caused by.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so it's kind of preventative measure.
I always, because maybe it helps other people as well, I always try to weave into the scenario what I do with alcohol. I don't know the inside of a pub, for example. I don't do that. But at dinner, I would now take certainly 2 large glasses of wine with my dinner, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week. That would be me. Is that good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, as I said, it's usually 3 units per a large glass of wine. So if you're multiplying that up,
so that's 6, and then I multiply it by 5. That's 30. I'm over the limit.
You're actually over the limit.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's all about recognising an issue. Some people may not feel that they have an issue. This is where the criticism of medications in alcohol treatment or alcohol misuse, where medications can be criticised. If a person does not realise they have a problem, they may not want to take the medication, and therefore it is ineffective in that sort of...
Well, is it always the case, Maria, is it always the case that the person who's abusing alcohol, that there is a downside, that the person feels... one, maybe spending too much money on it, and 2, that his ability to work is impaired as a consequence of the imbibing of the alcohol?
Well, yes, that can be quite often. Psychological problems are probably one of the main and obviously more acute symptoms of misuse of alcohol. So you do find that although people can function and work on, they actually may have an alcohol problem, you could say, without realising it for quite a long time. It's only when it impacts other areas of their life, or when eventually a problem such as maybe cirrhosis of the liver then does occur, that they realise it may have been caused by their maybe a bad habit, you could call it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And they find out about liver problems if they're getting a blood test done. That will reveal a problem with the liver.
Yeah. Your liver function test. So it shows enzymes and how your liver's working to see is there any abnormal functions, or is your liver compensating, or other things.
You see, it's very easy, and I think people do this. I think it's very easy for folk to say, well, I feel good, I'm not taking too much, I have 2 glasses a night and I'm still doing my work, blah, 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 blah. People can actually self-hypnotise into the belief that it's okay. Usually it's
hard to say the degree to which there are alcohol misuse problems within our society, because many people may not recognise the actual problem to then actually count it as a problem. In the community pharmacy type setting, we would see then obviously people who are, maybe you could say well up the ladder or up the scale of with their problem or with their misuse, and we would class it into 3 groups of severity. So you have severe, moderate, and mild.
Yeah.
Severe alcohol misuse would need to be treated in an inpatient setting. So you're talking about a hospital, some sort of a residential home that would deal with alcohol misuse issues. And then the other 2, moderate and severe, they can be dealt with in the community. Yeah. I know that we have mentioned Celencro. There are other medications also available. So say Camprost, it decreases cravings for alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have that. Your disulfiram is actually a deterrent medication. people take this on a daily basis, and if they consume alcohol with the disulfiram in their system, it actually can make them feel very unwell.
Yes.
So it's a deterrent type.
deterrent thing.
Yeah, they would have nausea, possibly vomiting, dizziness, a throbbing headache. It really would almost make them bedridden, to my
Yeah, of
understanding.
course.
So it's a deterrent. If they take their disulfiram in the morning time,
Yeah.
they know they cannot take alcohol that day because it will not.
Of course, the difficulty is that they'll know they're going to take alcohol that day and they'll not bother taking the pill.
Well, this is the case in many cases. Close contacts would sometimes help encourage people to use their medication. So I don't want to say, administer it and watch them. I'm not coming from that point of view. But they would encourage. It's a joint thing. They would have people who have problems in that sort of way would have support. Where either it be family, friends. Close contacts would ensure that they are trying to stick to the regime. When a person is taking it, they know they can't take alcohol, and if they do, it would make them extremely unwell.
So are they beating a track to your chemist shop door? Are people beating a track to your chemist's door, your shop?
It's surprising the number of queries we have. As I said, whether it be a concerned relative or a patient themselves, they may recognise they feel they may have the start of a problem, and they just want some advice. I know I have spoken about the medications involved, but psychological therapy and intervention is actually key to alcohol misuse. So you're talking cognitive behavioural therapy, group meetings, support, to help a person and to encourage them.
Part of the problem, I think, could be that in the selling of alcohol, never mind, not at all getting you off it, but in selling you alcohol, very heavy psychological factors brought to bear on the person. Advertising wine, for example, Mediterranean, the Riojas of Spain, the wines of France, the vineyards, the beauty of it all, the association of good food and good wine. That's a whole advertising package that can be seductive for people.
Yeah, it seems quite glamorous, the advertising world. So, yes, that
it makes it more and more difficult all the time. What other issues are hitting your door at the moment?
Well, Ebola, it's the top of the news, Rowan, isn't it? Yeah.
This could come in. People say we're not likely to get it in Northern Ireland, but logically, if it's in Britain, it can come here.
Well, it's this incubation period, I think, is one of the most dangerous factors surrounding Ebola, because as I think I've said to you before, a person can be infected and carrying the Ebola in their system and moving around from place to place without actually realising that they will become very unwell.
Are there things people can do to maybe it's overreacting to be doing things to safeguard oneself?
Well, I know that there has been correspondence in trying to deter maybe tourism to the areas that are worst affected.
Oh yes, yeah.
So obviously that's one measure that people may take. I definitely think the aid workers are very brave and doing
they are
an
hugely brave
job.
people. Yeah, they're people who place their lives on the line for this. And Médecins Sans Frontières, great people, and other people. Concern lost a worker in West Africa recently as a consequence of Ebola. But there's no sign of it with us yet, anyway.
Thankfully, no sign.
Thankfully not. Okay. Wish you well. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Rowan.
Thank you very much indeed. Go well. Take care.